Hello guys, Buckskin Dave here. Well, I'm still waiting for barrels, so I decided to start working on a couple things for the 58 cal. I need a Powderhorn and a possibles pouch. So I had this piece of horn I'm starting to work with. I cut a little piece off. Where's it at? Cut this little piece off. I'm going to make salt horn out of that. And I've already plugged it with, this is curly maple off of one of the rifles. And I'm working on this. What I'm going to show you in this video is how little I know about making horns. This is going to be all trial and error. The first trial that I found is my rough rasp for wood is working really good on this. And so I'm going to start working it down. This horn's probably going to hold about a little better than half a pound of powder. I got a different philosophy for me for Powderhorn. I don't go on long treks, you know, where I might be gone 10 days. And even if I did, half a pound of powder is probably going to serve me. So I like making for hunting for this 58. I'm going to make this Powderhorn and a pouch that'll hold maybe 12-15 balls and caps, cleaning supplies, maintenance supplies, maybe a little screwdriver or a nipple, not a nipple pick, but a nipple pick for the cap nipple, stuff like that. Very small, something that I can work with in the field. Usually when I go, I carry like 5 rounds in a block, or some of those speed loaders or something like that, because, you know, hiking around, all this stuff dangling through the stuff I hunt. I realize it's not traditional, but I'm hunting with a primitive weapon. I'm not a traditionalist as much as I am just a primitive hunter. So this is going to serve me. I don't know if I'm going to do any carving on it. I'm going to see how it turns out first. In the old days, a lot of horns were made by horners, and I'm not a horner. But I'm sure a lot of horns were makeshift, made by somebody that needed a horn and didn't have access to a horner. So that's me. So here we go. Grab you a cup of coffee. I got mine right here. And go ahead and have drink a cup of coffee and watch me mess this up. These are okay, this is a flush plug, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue another piece onto this and probably put it on with some wooden nails so that this stays on here, and then I'll shape that around here. But I soaked this horn in water overnight, and I've got it forming around this piece of wood for a plug. So I've drilled some holes, and I'm going to put these 4 tacks in for right now. Whoops, and that's what I didn't want to do. And I'm going to put these tacks in for right now to hold it. And then I'll probably put a couple of more around. It'll be decorative. Okay, so I cut out another piece of wood, and I put 2 wooden nails inside there. I didn't punch it through here. So there's a wooden nail going both ways. And I put Gorilla Glue inside. I kind of been liking Gorilla Glue. And I started working on this to see how it's going to be just right. So all I have to do is I let that dry. I put a little bit of wood glue in here so some of the sawdust will stick to that. And I'll finish that up here when that dries. In the meantime, I'm working on this end, and I'm going to work on making either a 40 or an 80 grain, probably an 80, this is big enough, an 80 grain charger. And it'll hang also from the bag. So I have my charger right there, and it'll be made by the same it came off of the front of here. So, anyway, I'm going to continue working on that, grab another cup of coffee, and you can watch me mess this up even more. I think it'll be all right. It just won't be one of those artistic things. It'll just be a really good solid horn, be handmade, crafted by the gun maker, who is not a horner. With the surface of the horn. And I'll probably just leave that for now and then start working on the other side. This horn material is really nice to work with. This one is. It seems like the files work it down really good. And then once the finish is off, then we'll probably sand her down and finish it with some sort of oil. But it should be good and watertight. This plug's got a lot of Gorilla Glue in all the cracks. So one thing I learned the hard way is once you decide where you're going to put a groove or do some fouling, like this is a rat tail foul. Before you continue along with your, don't come out of the groove, because that groove guides you. Once you get your groove all the way around, then you can work on it and you won't come popping out of there. So don't try to go too fast. I'm going to put a bump right here on the top, and then I'm going to flatten it, and I'm going to have a bump here, and that'll be all the carving I'm going to do on it. So I'm working on it now with this rat tail. These files work really, really nice. So this isn't going to be a finish it today project anyway. I'll go as far as I can, and then I'll work on something else. I got to cut some firewood this afternoon. We got an inch and a half or so this morning, wet snow, and as soon as it melts off the firewood stack, I'm going to buck up some pieces in case it's snowy and cold tomorrow. This is the part where you try to put some flavor to it. And I'm going to cut as many flats around here as it allows me to do, and looks good and spaces out. And this stuff really cuts pretty nice, but it's not fast. It takes some time to get it down to where you want it and make a nice, make a nice form out of it. That ain't too bad. I got this roughed in. It's snowing to beat the band out there. It's like, you know, big quarter-sized snowflakes coming down. It's been snowing all day. Probably if it wasn't, you know, if it was nice, beautiful, softly falling wintertime snow, it'd be one thing, but it's that wet, sloppy spring crap that if it would have been fluffy and piled up, there'd been 1.5 feet of snow there, but it just melts, and it's probably about 4 or 5 inches now, and it just makes it sloppy, miserable, wet, yucky. Anyway, it was a good day to stay in the shop. So I got this roughed in. Let's take a look. I've got the squares, you know, flats in here. I used the tip to make a plug, and I'm not done yet, but that'll be a powder measure. I had Teaspoon let me give up one of her little antlers she's chewing on, and I pulled this rosette off. That'll make a good fastening spot. Put it on with an iron screw. That'll be a good fastening spot there. Then I got my grooves here to tie my strap on. Anyway, like I say, and you know, I don't make stuff even. I guess guys can measure these flats out and figure out how many flats and how big they gotta be, and I don't do that because I don't think Mountain Man that was making one of these has any idea how to figure that circumference and flats and sizes anyway. And tell you the truth, I ain't sure I could figure it out. I just go and kind of eyeball it, and some of them are a little bigger and some of them are a little smaller, but That's kind of how I build stuff. Anyway, that's it for this time. So enjoyed having a cup of coffee with you. Summertime in the future here, we'll be finishing this out. I'm going to put some stain on it. I'm going to put a little bit of, I might do a little scrimshaw on it. I don't know yet. And I'm going to have to figure out a strap. But thanks for joining me. I'm Buckskin Dave. I'll see you next time. We should be getting them barrels real soon, so we'll have some more interesting stuff to do. Have a great day. Bye.